Okay, this video is called What is the Purpose of Processed Food? Now, low IQ people tend to think everything just sort of happens. It's just happened. That's just how it is. No, most things actually happen for a reason. And so let's talk about processed food. Now, first of all, from the company's point of view, they want the processed food to be profitable, to make money off it. So the longer the shelf life, the more profitable the processed food is, because then it doesn't get returned back to them. They can keep it on the shelf until it sells. Because of that, there's going to be lots of preservatives in processed food. Typical preservative will be a mold inhibitor, because nobody likes mold growing in the food. It's disgusting. But the problem with mold inhibitors, they tend to be mitochondrial inhibitors, and they'll tend to then lower the person's energy level, lower their thinking speed potentially. Okay, so that's one problem. But there's more to it than that. Why are certain foods subsidized? Why are other foods not subsidized? And I don't think it's just a coincidence, or maybe it's just a coincidence that things that sterilize you are subsidized. Things that make you stupid are subsidized. Things that make you fat and sick are subsidized. Okay, so soy is subsidized. Soy, before it became, a big money thing, there's lots of negative publicity on soy. It decreases fertility level. It can be damaging to the female reproductive tract and its development, lowers male sperm counts. Okay, atrazine is a herbicide typically sprayed on corn, non-organic corn. Turns the male frog into a female frog. Things that are highly estrogenic, like birth control pills, ethinyl estradiol, they make a person infertile. Estrogen levels are high when a woman's pregnant, tells her not to ovulate. Okay, MSG and MFG, manufacturer-free glutamate, monosodium glutamate, that is can lower fertility levels. All right, F minus in tap water lowers fertility. Al, aluminum, in tap water lowers fertility. They put it in there as a so-called clarifier. It binds things to it, makes the water look clear, even though you're adding a metal to the water. Obesity is associated with decrease in fertility, and these cause a lot of these things, increased risk of infertility, of course. Okay, women are encouraged. Well, that's kind of a social policy. Women to get more education as if they're trying to help her. What they really want is these educated women to stay in school as long as possible so they have less babies, okay? And they sort of discredit being a housewife, homemaker. So meanwhile, all the naturally born American women, go more school, don't have any kids, and then open the border, replace them, replenish them. Okay, goal number 2, to make you stupid. F minus in the water lowers IQ. Stupid people are easier to control. Al in tap water, it's a neurotoxin, okay? It's bad for cognitive function. Glyphosate, that's sprayed on the GMO soy and a lot of other things too. Non-organic wheat, non-organic oats, non-organic beans. Brain toxin, excitotoxin. Okay, goitrogenic soy, things that lower thyroid function will lower cognitive function as well. Hexane processing in non-organic soy, that can also potentially lower IQ. It's a neurotoxin. The majority of things that are these estrogenic chemicals, endocrine disrupting chemicals, EDCs is how they're abbreviated, are neurotoxic too. They've even said they should no longer be called EDCs. They should be called EDNCs, endocrine or ENDCs, endocrine and neuro disrupting chemicals, all right? Goal number 3, to make you fat and sick. Nobody makes money off skinny vegans. I'm 60-year-old skinny vegan. I don't take any pills. I don't go for any surgeries. I don't need anything from the medical system, okay? So a person who's healthy, like a lot of your typical low-fat vegan, they don't need the medical system very much, hardly at all. So that's not profitable. All these fat and sick people, they got tons of health problems. They're on lots of pills. They got emotional, psychiatric problems that they give that are treated with pills. So high-fat diets, which is a lot of meat and processed foods, they routinely cause obesity. Majority of EDCs, endocrine disrupting chemicals, estrogenics, they're also obesogenic, make people get fat. There's lots of estrogenics in tap water, contribute to people getting fat. Even if they're eating relatively well, it's harder for them to lose the weight because of all these estrogenic chemicals. They are high when she's pregnant, tell her to store fat. Pregnant woman, the baby might need that for energy down the road. So estrogenic hormones tend to be fat storage hormones. Soy is goitrogenic, things that in decreased thyroid function can make a person gain weight. MSG eaten by a pregnant woman can decrease the function of the baby's arcuate nucleus in their hypothalamus, can predispose to obesity. Oils, cooking oils, have a tendency to undergo lipid peroxidation. This is the work of the Japanese neuroscientist Tatsumori Yamashima. Have a tendency to cause injury to the hypothalamus. Arcuate nucleus can decrease control of appetite. Glyphosate is a hepatotoxin, increases the risk of liver failure, fatty liver, and that increases the risk of insulin resistance in the liver. I sort of think of fatty liver as being like diabetes of the liver. Glyphosate increases the risk of leaky gut. Therefore, postprandial endotoxemia, that means after eating, increased LPS in the blood, endotoxin, and also increased risk of clotting of the blood. You get those amyloid-like clots in the blood because it distorts the shape of fibrinogen, changes it from alpha helix to a beta-pleated sheet, and those are refractory clots. They're harder to dissolve. Okay, increased caffeine, coffee, tea, caffeinated things encourage people to sleep less. They're tend more likely to get fat. It's like having increased psychological stress. Aluminum increases the risk of leaky gut. So it does, again, the same leaky gut problems we just talked about a moment ago. High sodium and high MSG. MSG diets can lead to overeating. They make the food so-called hyperpalatable, addictive. And also high fructose corn syrup by sweetening it, and people can tend to overeat because of that. These foods also lack fiber. That means there'll be less estrogen excretion in the stool because you deconjugate the liver excreted estrogens. And then you reabsorb the estrogens. So the point being is meat and processed food eaters, because of their lack of fiber and because they generate a bad gut bacterial flora, they lead to increased estrogen levels in the blood, which is associated with increased risk of breast cancer, endometrial cancer, and prostate cancer in men. So anyways, this is, sure it's all a coincidence, but the way food is processed and handled, and this is what most of the public eats, it causes decreased fertility, decreased IQ, makes them fat and sick, so it's easy to make money off them, sell them drugs. So anyways, hope that was helpful.